Part 19. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 185. Inside the dark building, there are 5 circular pieces of glass on the ceiling. Red, purple, blue, green, yellow, 5 colors of glass with mottled color patches on it. The sunlight shines through the glass and focuses on Bailahu in the middle of the building. Next to them were the 5 captured blood ninjas. Purple Lan Escape, Blue Ming Escape, Green Swift Escape, and Yellow Steel Escape. As for the red color, it corresponds to a poor white Zetsu. This white Zetsu had a pair of Sherry-non eyes transplanted into its eye sockets, corresponding to the fire attribute in the 5 elements. Of course, Bai Zetsu's body structure is different from that of humans. These eyes are not so much transplanted as they are stuffed in. However, Bairehu has tried it before. He was able to use the art of Oni Milo to devour Bai Zetsu's body. Even Baiju's body can still blend well with his own. It's like it's his own body. Simply magical. If possible, Bailahu would even like to get a few more White Jew clones for research. However, that will have to wait until his ceremony is successful. It's time to get started, it's time to show your worth. Pen said in an indifferent voice. You have spent so much money on the organization and asked the organization to help you capture the blood successor ninja. Just the strength of a Jounin level is not enough. After all, if you want to capture a Jinchuriki, the strength of the Jounin is not enough. At least, Bairehu has to show strength comparable to the cage level to barely gain his recognition. Immediately, Liuhu smiled confidently and looked up at the glass above the ceiling. The time is getting closer to noon. It happens to be the hottest season of the year recently. Today's weather is extremely hot. Suddenly, Baileahu's heart moved. It's time. The Oni Yellow ritual he has planned for so many years can finally begin. The perfection of immortality is the physical body, which is almost waving to him. Buzz. The scorching light passes through the 5-color glass and turns into a beam of light that looks like substance. Come down. Sizzle. The viscous silver fluid emerged from Bairehu's body. The invisible fluid waved in the air, turned into tentacles, and attacked the position of the bloody ninja. Ah! Damn you bastard, I will never let you go. The one who screamed was the clone of White Zetsu. The other 4 blood successor ninjas were all in a half-dead state. They had almost lost their breath and could only twitch twice in front of them under the erosion of the fluid tentacles. However, Baileahu don't care. Come on, let's forge my path to becoming a god. Baileahu yelled almost madly. The blood, flesh, and chakra of the blood successor ninja were connected to Baileahu's body through the silver fluid. A mutation occurred. The silver irregular-shaped fluid suddenly began to expand rapidly. The blood successor ninja, the flesh, and chakra were continuously being integrated into Baileahu's body, and at the same time, 5 colors of light were emitted. The fluid that had been gathering towards Baileahu's body suddenly seemed to have lost control. It was like boiling water, gurgling and bubbling. Ah! Baileahu let out a shrill scream. He felt like his body was dissolving. Going to fail? Wrong. Hyuga Naraka raised his head and looked at the light in the sky. The unusually hot weather seemed to be a boost to Bairehu. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 186. The cells of the White Zetsu clone seemed to contain some first-generation cells. Hinatan Naraku silently sensed the White Zetsu clone that was gradually being swallowed in the middle of the field. Counting the 5 blood successor ninjas who are White Zetsu clones, the attributes of chakra are very complicated. Landun has the main thunder attribute and secondary water attribute. The Hashirama cells in the White Zetsu clone also contain water and earth attributes, coupled with the water attribute chakra of Mingdu. Taken together, among the 5 blood successor ninjas, the amount of water attribute chakra is higher than other chakra attributes. The fire attribute corresponding to the water attribute is just a pair of Sharingan from the Uchiha clan. Although the Uchiha clan is almost all good at fire escape, this is not the limit of blood inheritance after all. At the level of chakra quality and quantity, it cannot be compared with the blood inheritance limit of corresponding chakra properties. But Hinatan Nariku looked up at the sunlight shining from the 5-colored glass on the ceiling. Bailehu was not completely unprepared. The reason why he deliberately waited for this time today to perform the ritual was not entirely due to obsessive-compulsive disorder. In the hottest weather of the year, with the help of the power of celestial phenomena, we suppress excess water-type chakra and enhance the intensity of fire-type chakra. Through this, a balance was barely reached between the 5 elements of chakra attributes. However, it is difficult to say whether the ceremony will be successful. Sudden. Hinatan Nariku's heart moved. He sensed a special power. The power of this chakra is much higher in level. In the center of the ceremony ahead, the Hashirama cells in the body and the Sharingan in the eye sockets of the white Zetsu clone that is gradually being integrated into the body by Hirahu are also beginning to merge. I just happen to have the yin and yang attributes together. Hinatan Nariku felt a little emotional. Obito seemed to have some mischievous tricks, and it seemed that he just happened to help Beirehua. Chakra attributes include yin and yang in addition to the 5 elements. A balance was reached between the 5 elements of chakra attributes among the 5 blood successor ninjas. The yang escape chakra in the Hashirama cells of the white Zetsu clone and the yin escape chakra of the Sharingan have also reached another balance. And very fitting. Hinatan Nariku even felt that Beirehua was simply lucky. The yang release strength of Hashirama cells can be regarded as the best in the ninja world. If the intensity of yin escape is to be matched at a qualitative level, it must at least be at the level of kaleidoscope. At least. Generally speaking, the yin escape of the 3 Megatama Sharingan is absolutely incomparable with the yang escape of Hashirama cells. But the amount of Hashirama cells in Shirojwipin's body is very thin. And the pair of 3 Megatama Sharingan eyes, in terms of yin escape chakra content, are higher than the yang escape in Hashirama cells. Between the two, one is higher in quality and the other is more prominent in quantity. Due to a combination of circumstances, a clever balance was achieved. Bailehu is really lucky. Hinatan Nariku couldn't help but sigh. He could confirm that Bailehu had not considered yin-yang escape before. Before that, Bailehu's original target was Yakura's burning release, but Uchiha Obito missed it. The balance between yin and yang release actually originated from Obito's cool operation, writing a pair of the will eye was stuffed into the eye socket of the white Zetsu clone, in the middle of the ceremony venue. The wildly expanding silver fluid gradually contracts. Accompanied by Bailehu's constant crazy screams, echoing in the empty and dark building. However, everyone present looked at it coldly. No one was worried about Bailehu. No one cares. The silver fluid gradually solidified, revealing the color of pale flesh and blood. Bailehu's thin body reappeared in everyone's sight. However, at this moment, Bailehu, who was originally high-spirited, was lying on the ground without saying a word, with steam rising all over his body. Almost like a dead person. There is only a slight heaving in the chest. Did it fail? Pen said in an indifferent voice. No emotion could be heard. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 187. In the silent building, Bailehu, who had fallen to the ground, suddenly opened his eyes. Ahem, quite the opposite. Bailehu stood up slowly, stretched out his hand and looked at his body. My ritual was a success. An uncontrollable ecstasy surged into Hiroyuki's heart. 7 years. Ever since the Battle of Kanabe Bridge in Konoha in the 46th year, he has been working hard towards this step. For this reason, even if he becomes a traitor, it doesn't matter if you endure it. Now, it's finally rewarded. Is that all there is to it? Your Onigawara technique seems to be very average. The Red Sand Scorpion mocked. For him, the experimental funds that Beiliuhu wasted might as well be given to him. Wouldn't it be better to use it to transform a few more puppets? However, to the Red Sand Scorpion's surprise, the thing is, Beiliuhu was not angry because of his ridicule. Instead, with a smile on his face, he looked around jokingly and said to the members of the Akatsuki organization, "I have obtained the perfect body of immortality. If you want to experience my strength, you might as well come up and give it a try. Don't worry," Beiliuhu said with a confident smile on his lips. "For the sake of you helping me catch the blood successor ninja, I won't kill you." The words fell. The expressions of the surrounding members of the Akatsuki organization changed. Before, although Beiliuhu was considered a formal member of the Akatsuki organization, he was not strong enough after all. He was only at the level of an ordinary jonin. It can even be said that Beiliuhu the initial attitude was a bit cautious. But now, he actually dared to provoke them all at the same time. Having a messy ceremony seems to have given you some confidence to not care. Keikagaki Same's palm holding Same Hata moved slightly, with a bloody smile like a shark on his face. "You alone dare to claim to be immortal." Kakuzu sneered. The Red Sand Scorpion and Orochimaru felt the same way. The three of them, to some extent, all achieved different immortality. Kakuzu's earthly resentment, the Red Sand Scorpion's self-puppetization, Orochimaru Maru's immortal body reincarnation. Therefore, they understand better, it is easier said than done to want immortality, or even a perfect body. "How can you ants understand the thoughts of gods?" Beiliuhu said with a low smile. "Isn't the goal of the Akatsuki organization to bring peace to the ninja world? No problem. Since you have helped me before, I will help you achieve this goal. There is no need to collect any tailed beasts. I will use my own power to unify the ninja world and bring permanent peace to the ninja world." Pen frowned and said disdainfully, "Madness." Although he usually calls himself a god, Nagato, who has the Rinnegan Eye, has a much higher awe of power than ordinary people. The Rinnegan Eye has the most powerful pupil technique, the Earth Blast Sky Star. Among the information Nagato obtained through the Rinnegan Eye, that year the Sage of Six Paths once used this move to create the moon. No matter how arrogant Nagato was, he asked himself that he would never be able to do that. "Since you think you are a god, let me see if you have enough power," Pen said, slowly raising his arm and pointing at Beiliuhu. "Shinra Tianzhang." Buzz. The surging repulsion, with invisible shock waves, rushed towards Beiliuhu. "It's useless, Mingdun sucking holes." Beiliuhu chuckled lightly and stretched out his hand. "I have mastered the Hell Release Blood Succession limit and can absorb the chakra of all ninjutsu. No ninjutsu has any effect on me." The invisible force hit Beiliuhu, interrupting what he had not finished saying. An invisible force almost directly acted on his internal organs. Beiliuhu didn't even say a word. After being able to say it, he only had time to leave an expression of disbelief in his eyes before he was knocked away. Boom! A wall of the building was directly blasted away by the repulsive force. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 188. The rubble and dust of the building completely buried Beiliuhu. The invisible shockwave rushed outside, destroying all obstacles along the way. The members of the Akatsuki organization all looked at the scene with cold eyes. I couldn't help but sneer in my heart. As expected, Beiliuhu joined the organization for too short a period of time. I don't know Pain's strength at all. The fact that there are so many people in the Akatsuki organization is not caused by strong winds. The Red Sand Scorpion was recruited by Zionin. The dried persimmon Kisame was brought here by Obito. The remaining three, Kakuzu, Lokwachuzo, and Orochimaru, were all recruited by Pain. Pain's recruitment pitch is simple: either join the Akatsuki organization or die, choose one. It can be said that they were all convinced by Pain before joining the Akatsuki organization. Who are you, Baileahuo, to be so arrogant in front of Pain? The dust slowly dispersed. Wow! The rocks were exploded all of a sudden. Baileahuo, who had many large and small scars on his body, jumped out from below in a state of embarrassment. At this time, Baileahuo was no longer as arrogant as before, and looked at Pain with fear in his eyes. My heart was filled with surprise and uncertainty. What happened to that attack just now? Isn't it ninjutsu? Why didn't his escape work? So much excellent material was wasted, but it seems to have no effect at all. The Red Sand Scorpion mocked coldly. Baileahuo was ashamed and angry, but he didn't know what to say. He couldn't understand what happened with that blow just now. If the wind release ninjutsu blew him away, the Ming release should be able to absorb the chakra from the ninjutsu. But it didn't work at all. Baileahuo could feel that his dark soul did not absorb any chakra. Is this the godlike strength you claim to have? There was a trace of disappointment in Pain's cold tone. Compared with the 5 blood successor ninjas, the strength Baileahuo is showing now is really unsatisfactory. No. Baileahuo waved his hands angrily. This is not my full strength. My blood inheritance limited strength has not yet been unleashed. Suddenly, there was a burst of low laughter in the field. Everyone seemed to be watching a joke, looking at Baileahuo, who was almost breaking his guard. Baileahuo's face turned red, and he became more and more angry, and his eyes were wide open. To Orochimaru. Orochimaru, are you laughing at me? If what he can't stand the most is the contempt of Orochimaru, his original companion. When he was in Konoha, Baileahuo, Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade were students of the ninja school at the same time. However, the fate of several people was completely different. Orochimaru and the other 3 were accepted as disciples by Sarutobi Hiruzen and became the 3 ninjas who were famous in the ninja world. But there are several people in the ninja world who know that he is a ninja. It is precisely because wanting to catch up in the footsteps of Orochimaru and the others and make up for his own lack of talent, Baileahuo developed the Onigawara technique. However, now, his Onigawara ritual has been successful, but Orochimaru is still laughing at him. Go to hell. Baileahuo's right arm turned silver black, roaring and charging towards Orochimaru. Keng. A sharp metal clash sounded. Hinata Naruka controlled the puppet and used a kunao to hold Baileahuo's hardened arm. If you want to take action against Lord Orochimaru, you must first pass me. There was a trace of undetectable excitement in Hinata Naruka's voice. In his perception, the large amount of mixed chakra in Baileahuo's body was like a pool of turbid water, impacting and merging with each other. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 189. Baileahuo's expression was startled subconsciously. Not only because he didn't expect Orochimaru's humble subordinate to suddenly take action, but also because he didn't expect that the other party actually stopped him. You know, the arms strengthened by steel release not only greatly strengthen the defense, but also improve the strength. However, Orochimaru's subordinate, who looked young, actually took over his surprise attack easily. Kid, do you know what you're doing? Baileahuo's expression turned sinister. A feeling of resentment arose in his heart. What did Orochimaru mean? He just asked one of his men to deal with him. How dare you look down on him so much? With your strength, there is no need for Orochimaru-sama to take action. Hinata Naruka pretended to be Orochimaru's subordinate seriously. Orochimaru's brown snake eyes moved slightly, and he licked his tongue with interest, but said nothing. Since Hinata Naraka planned to take action in person, he could just watch carefully. On the one hand, to test the current strength of Beirahua. On the other hand, Orochimaru is also very interested in the strength of the puppet controlled by Hyuga Naraku. I have no interest in wasting time on you. Horihua snorted coldly, his eyes moved, and the pattern of the three Megatama Sharingan eyes in his eyes began to rotate at high speed. This is the pair of three Megatama Sharingan eyes on Baijuafen's body. Through the devouring of the Oni Miluo ritual, these two pairs of Megatama Sharingan eyes, the eyes directly replaced by Lahua's original eyes. Get addicted to the genjutsu of the Sharingan, and then go to hell. Billahu had a violent look on his face, and his hardened arm fiercely stabbed Hinata Naraka's heart. However, the next second, Hinata Naraku, who should have fallen into the illusion, seemed not to be affected at all. Easily grabbed by Lahua's arm. As far as pupil power is concerned, it's pretty good. Hyuga Naraka commented seriously. What? Hylia's eyes are about to burst. How is this possible? Shouldn't this damn brat have fallen under the illusion of his Sharingan? Now is not the time to surprise you. Hinata Naraka said calmly, while raising his foot and kicking Beirahua away. Poof. Beirahua was kicked away like a toy and fell to the ground like a dead dog. Ahem, why didn't you fall under the illusion? Beirahua got up in embarrassment and looked at the expressions of the Akatsuki members around him, feeling ashamed and angry. Your Sharingan is not bad. If you are an ordinary person, you will really fall into it, but genjutsu just doesn't work on me. Hyuga Naraka said with a little admiration. The pair of Sharingan eyes of Beirahua seemed to have undergone some changes during the Inamera ceremony. But it did not evolve into a kaleidoscope. In a sense, the direction of change it should be said to be the Rinnegan. Of course. The gap between Beirahua's current pair of Sharingan and the Rinnegan is comparable to the gap between Yamato and the first generation of Wood release. Generally speaking, the Sharingan Yin release has undergone a qualitative change. It will evolve into the Mangekyo Sharingan. The ultimate in Yin escape of the Sharingan, and the ultimate in Yin escape in the immortal body, will eventually evolve into the Rinnegan. The pair of Sharinans of Beirahua, in terms of Yin escape, turned out to be just ordinary. The three Megatama has not undergone qualitative changes. However, because Beirahua also swallowed a white Zetsu clone during the ceremony, as well as a trace amount of Hashirama cells inside. This also resulted in Beirahua's body now possessing some kind of the degree of yin and yang is one. The combination of yin and yang has the power to create all things. Just like the original record of the six-path sage on the stone tablet of the Uchiha clan, the unity of yin and yang can bring about all things. Uchiha Madara, eternity. The combination of the yin escape of the kaleidoscope and the yang escape of the Hashirama cells awakened the samsara eye. Uchiha Obito, the kaleidoscope Sharingan and the Hashirama cells combined. Although the kaleidoscope was not awakened, he got the kaleidoscope that will never go blind. And Hirufu, after completing the Oni Meira ritual, he also accidentally gathered the yin version of Sharingan and the yang version of Hashirama cells. Correspondingly, the pupil power of his Sharingan has also exceeded the ordinary, the level of 3 Megatama. If the target of Beirahou's genjutsu is Orochimaru, maybe he will actually be tricked. However, who said that he was so stubborn that he cast a genjutsu on Hyuga Naraku? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 190. Hyuga Naraku manipulates this puppet, using the reincarnation chakra. In terms of personality, it is infinitely better than Beirahou's half-assed yin-yang unity. A pair of Sharingan eyes that are just beyond the level of 3 Megatama, Cast an illusion on the reincarnation chakra of the 6th level Yinjutsu, and it will be a ghost if it can succeed. It's such a disgrace to the organization that it can't even handle a brat. The Scorpion of Red Sand mocked mercilessly. Obito Uchiha also nodded secretly. The strength shown by Beirahua did not meet his expectations. He obviously spent a lot of 3 Megatama Sharingan, plus a white Zetsu clone was used as a sacrifice for Oniya's ritual. And Beirahua did fuse the pair of Sharingan eyes. But he couldn't even control a kid under Orochimaru. Beirahua looked at everyone's. The look in his eyes makes me feel extremely embarrassed. Brat. You really pissed me off. He stared at Hinata Naruto with ferocious eyes, and the 3 Megatama in his eyes slowly rotated. Bailahua's whole body exuded a unique cold aura. Do you think that was all my strength just now? A bunch of stupid guys, you have no idea how far the 5 kinds of blood can reach after the fusion of boundaries. As he said that, Bailahua's figure suddenly disappeared. The speed was too fast to be caught by the naked eye. The next moment, with the sound of breaking wind, Bailahua's arm suddenly appeared in front of Hinata Naruto. Hinata Naruto's heart skipped a beat, and he jumped slightly to the side, avoiding the vicious blow without even a second thought. Boom! The floor of the building was blown to pieces. Before everyone could be surprised, they saw a black shadow suddenly emerge from the dust and run towards Hinata Naruto again. It's really fast. However, Hinata Naruto seemed to have expected it. He turned his body slightly to one side while still in the air and avoided the blow again. Beirahua, who failed in the 2 attacks, stopped and looked at Hinata Naruto with interest. I can't tell, but your guy's reaction is okay. As he said that, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on Beirahwa's face. This is better. If my strength is too weak, there will be no way for me to exert even a little bit of my strength. I will tear you apart with my own hands. Hyuga Naruto's mood did not fluctuate at all. If you can do it, give it a try. I don't know why, Beirahua suddenly felt an unreasonable anger. He was in a daze for a moment before he realized it. This calm and confident attitude did not take him seriously at all. This kind of self-reliant genius feels that everything is under control. The look in the middle. He has had enough. He never wants to see it again. Let me show you what real speed is. With a stern look in Beirahua's eyes, he activated the quick-release blood successor limit with all his strength. Whoosh! Almost at the speed of a sonic boom, like a cannonball, Beirahua's whole body was ejected. Obito Uchiha, who was watching on the sidelines, frowned. Wrinkle. This speed is so fast. Even his Mangekyo Sharingan has to concentrate hard to barely keep up with Beirahwa's current speed. If it is an ordinary 3 Magatama Sharingan, in the face of this speed, probably not much better than normal eyes. It is worthy of being the blood successor limit in the ninja world in the name of speed. Uchiha Obito sighed inwardly. Other members of the Akatsuki organization gradually began to watch the battle seriously. Just the current speed of Beirahua is worthy of their attention. However, everyone was shocked to find that Orochimaru's young subordinate seemed to be able to keep up with Beirahua's speed. There's even a back and forth. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 191. In the fierce battle, Beirahwa's eyes widened and he was horrified to death. Originally, it was in Beirahwa's expectation. After completing the Oniyaloto ritual, he should be invincible and immortal. Even though he had suffered defeat in the hands of Pain and Hinata Naruto just now. But in his opinion, this is just because he has not taken it seriously yet and has not used the 5 blood inheritance limits in his body. Once he takes action seriously, Orochimaru's subordinates who are in front of him will be killed by him quickly. However, the reality is, there were thousands of thoughts in Beirahwa's mind, and he hurriedly avoided the punch from Hyuga Naruto. Damn it! Beirahua roared angrily, but to no avail. The current situation seems to be that he is at a disadvantage. With the speed of his quick escape, coupled with the power of steel escape, his physical strength at this time can easily kill him instantly himself before the ritual. However, such a power is still no match. The opponent is even just a subordinate of Orochimaru. Is his Onigashira ritual really a joke? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Byakuya quickly pulled away and retreated. Seeing that Hinata Naraku didn't catch up, he seized the time and quickly formed the seal. Lan dun. Liun Qianbo. Zitsaiza. Dense lightning beams, accompanied by terrifying power, were emitted from Byakuya's hands and blasted towards Hinata Naraku. You damn brat, go to hell! Byakuya roared hysterically. However, Hyuga Naraku on the opposite side didn't care at all. He jumped lightly and passed directly through the dense lightning beam. Boom! Behind Hyuga Naraku, the raging lightning easily destroyed the building. The wall penetrated and flattened a hilltop not far away. Hyuga Naraku seemed not to notice this terrifying destructive power, and walked slowly towards Byakuya without looking back. Is this all you have? Hyuga Naraku slowly approached and said to the stunned Byakuya. It really disappoints me a bit. Byakuya's expression was dull and he subconsciously stepped back. You, don't come over. Hyuga Naraku's figure was just walking slowly, but it brought endless pressure to him. It was as if a demon with infinite fear was approaching him. The swelling feeling that he had completed the Onigashira ritual not long ago was almost gone. Empty. Is this guy really just a subordinate of Orochimaru? Uchiha Obito looked at Hinata Naraku with a solemn expression. The intensity of the battle just now was completely beyond his expectation. He thought that this masked brat was just a subordinate of Orochimaru, and his strength was at the level of a jonin at most. However, I didn't expect that this guy's physical skills could be so strong. Although he didn't want to admit it, Obito also knew that the speed and strength shown by Byakuya just now were already above him. However, even so, Byakuya was still crushed in physical skills. This kid should have a blood inheritance of pupil skills. Uchiha Obito recalled the way Hinata Naraku passed through the thunder and lightning just now, and said, being able to find a passage through such a dense lightning beam in an instant is generally only something that ninjutsu ninjas can do. It is like dodging at the same time dozens of kunai flying from different directions. The pupil ninja can easily find a hiding place. Is it a pupil technique? No wonder. The scorpion of red sand glanced at Obito Uchiha's eyes, and pondered in his heart. Recalling that the invisible force had shattered the scorpion, his coveting for Obito Uchiha couldn't help but emerge again. An Ukibo's sacrifice should be of great collectible value. I'm very curious, is this kid really Orochimaru's subordinate? Keikisaki Kisame said with a grin. Others also turned their attention to Orochimaru. A person with such strong physical skills is actually just one of Orochimaru's subordinates. Orochimaru's own physical skills may not be that strong. Have you seen it? After the battle just now, everyone in the Akatsuki organization, although they didn't say it verbally, recognized the strength of Byakuya in their hearts. At least with Byakuya's speed and strength, few of them dared to say that they could hold down one head. Orochimaru's masked subordinate crushed Byakuya in physical skills. What does this mean? At least in physical skills, they may not even be as good as Orochimaru's subordinate. How is this possible? Orochimaru welcomes looking at everyone's eyes. He licked the corner of his mouth and said jokingly, what, is the strength of my men beyond your expectations? It seems that you are not too confident in your own strength. After the words fell, a group of people's faces darkened. This taunt meant that they were not even as good as one of Orochimaru's subordinates, and were not confident in front of his subordinates. If pain hadn't been there, they would have had to fight with Orochimaru. It's a must-do. Orochimaru had a smile on his lips, not caring at all about the murderous eyes of a group of people. Anyway, he was about to leave, and he didn't care whether he wanted to show more or less hatred. Opposite. Hinatan Nariku looked at Beirahua, who has lost his will to fight, feels a little disappointed. At present, Beirahua's strength is not much better than that in the original work. At most, he just has an extra pair of Sharingan eyes. After thinking for a moment, Hinatan Nariku said, Beirahua, you can't even defeat me, how can you have the courage to attack Lord Orochimaru? As he spoke, his voice gradually became sarcastic. I heard Lord Orochimaru talk about you. You were also a ninja of Konoha. Because you conducted human experiments privately, Sarutobi Hiruzen ordered the 3 ninjas to capture you. However, Orochimaru-sama and the others, out of friendship for many years, let you go. I didn't expect that after so many years, you are still so disappointing. Beirahua's face turned red and he pointed at Hika Nariku, so angry that he could not speak. The humiliation, grief, and anger almost made him want to die of shame and anger. Hyuga Nariku's eyes lit up. There is hope. In his perception, the chakra in Baihu's body began to fluctuate violently again. The stimulation of emotion seemed to be able to further integrate the mixed chakra in Baihu's body. With this idea in mind, Hinatan Nariku pondered for a moment and continued to stimulate Baihu. Do you know why Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't accept you as his apprentice in the first place? It's not because you are such a waste. Orochimaru-sama and Tsunade were geniuses to begin with. Although Jiraiya was once a low-level genius, he was also a late-blooming genius. And you? You are nothing. You were a waste then, and you are still a waste now. Decades have passed and nothing has changed, the gap has become wider and wider. Are you actually still dreaming about changing your destiny through some kind of ghost yellow ritual? It makes me laugh so hard. Were you thinking of taking action against Lord Orochimaru just now? Thank you for stopping me, otherwise you would be even more embarrassed now. Of course, with how much of a loser you are, it's hard to become any more embarrassing. Hyuga Nariku's endless words filled his ears like a demonic sound, stimulating Beirahua eyes to turn red. Enough. Beirahua roared, the chakra on his body was surging, and a strong chakra was flowing in his veins. Bang! Beirahua subconsciously clasped his hands together. Damn guy, die! With Beilahu's roar, huge trees emerged from the ground, bursting the small building in an instant. In a few breaths, the place was covered by a forest. Wood release. From Baiju cell the wood escape in the middle, Beilahu's 6th blood succession limit, finally awakened. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 192. What happened? Damn it! Could it be Mudun? Everyone in the Akatsuki organization retreated from the collapsed building. The wildly growing trees quickly completely burst the originally small building, and they were still growing further, covering the collapsed building inside. They hid far away. Kakuzu everywhere, looking at the wildly growing trees, his face was uncertain. The scene in front of him reminded him of some bad memories. Orochimaru's expression finally became serious at this time. He had done a lot of things about the first Hokage through experiments on cells and wood escape. We can confidently say that this is indeed the performance of wood escape when it awakens. But what makes Orochimaru feel puzzling is, how can Harahu awaken the wood escape? A Namara ritual of the 5 sacrifices, 4 of them are the blood successor ninjas of Swift Release, Steel Release, Ming Release, and Arashi Release. The 5th sacrifice is a white Zetsu clone with the Sharingan added. The wood release here, in the end how did it come about? Wood escape, actually wood escape, Uchiha Obito murmured to himself, with a hint of disbelief in his tone. He turned his head slightly and looked at Absolutely, feeling convinced. Others may not understand what this Mudun is, but he who knows the origin of Baiju cannot be ignorant. What Uchiha Madara said at the beginning was that White Zetsu was the product of him introducing the cells of the first Hokage into the heretic golem. So, it is not surprising that Baizetsu's body contains first-generation cells and has the potential to awaken the wood release. Uchiha Obito himself also has wood release, but that is mainly because after he was seriously injured in the Battle of Konobe Bridge, Uchiha Madara transplanted the first-generation Hokage cells. The issue is, what Beirehu used for the Inagara ceremony was just an ordinary White Zetsu clone. This can actually awaken Mudun. It's definitely beyond my expectations. Pen said solemnly. Would escape. As the blood successor of the ninja god Senju Hashirama who ended the troubled times, even Nagato, who has mastered the power of the Samsara Eye, cannot remain indifferent. There is no doubt that if everyone in the Akatsuki organization can master wood release through Oni Meira's technique, the organization's strength will be greatly improved. In this way, they will also have more confidence when facing the new 5th Hokage of Konoha. The success rate of collecting tailed beasts will also be greatly increased. Everyone in the Akatsuki organization looked at the area that had turned into a forest in front of them and nodded solemnly. No one could remain unmoved when facing the limits of the blood inheritance of the ninja god back then. If a guy like Beirehu, who they originally looked down upon, could master wood release through a ritual, then they should be able to do it if they are stronger than Beirehu. What's more, the Sharingan, swift release, and the strength of steel release and Lan release, such as blood succession limit, cannot be underestimated. Loquat carefully looked at the woods in front of him and said, "Isn't that kid already dead in it?" The wood release that Beirehu used just now as they went directly in the direction of Hinata Naraku. They were not on the attack route and could make a hasty exit, but Hinata Naraku might not be so lucky. It would be better if I died, and I could get a good sacrifice. The red sand scorpion glanced at Orochimaru and said. However, Orochimaru's expression did not change at all, and it seemed that he did not take his provocative words to heart at all. Orochimaru was naturally not worried. On the one hand, it was because he was very interested in Hinata. Naraku has confidence in his strength. Especially after learning about Hyuga Naraku's record against Kumogakure. The 1,000-meter-high Senju Buddha and the small forest in front of him. There is no comparison at all. On the other hand, it is because, here it's just a puppet remotely controlled by Hyuga Naraku. Even if the puppet's strength is limited and it can't help but awaken Beirehu's wood release, Hyuga Naraku can just leave the puppet and leave. Anyway, Hyuga Naraku's goal is also here. Take a look at the Ghost Yellow ceremony in Beirehu. Now that I have finished watching it and even had a fight in person, there is naturally nothing to miss. At this time, with a whoosh, two figures passed through the dense trees. Come out. Damn kid, weren't you very arrogant just now? Beirehu had a ferocious expression on his face. Looking at Hinata Naraku who could only run away under his pursuit, he felt extremely happy. It's really all thanks to you, otherwise it might not be that easy for me to awaken Mudun. In return for helping me awaken Mudun, have you figured out how to die? When he thought of what Hinata Naraku said to him just now, Beirehu felt his blood pressure surge. Calling him a waste? Calling him overestimating his abilities? Saying that the gap between him and Orochimaru will only get wider and wider? Are you kidding me? Beirehu waved his arms, and the trees around him attacked Hinata Naraku like arms and fingers. You are truly worthy of the power of the first Hokage. It is an honor for you to die in the hands of Mudun, kid. This power that seemed to have the whole world under his control made Beirehu so excited. The eyes of Hyuga Naraku on the opposite side moved slightly, and the kunao in his hand flashed with a little thunder, and he opened a path in one direction. The trees retreated. As far as the strength of wood release is concerned, it's pretty good, but that's about it. Hyuga Naraku said without any fluctuations in his tone. The strength of Beirehu's current wood release trees should be stronger than Yamato. but if you want to compare it with his wood release and the first Hokage's wood release, it is far behind. Now, the veins on Baliuhu's forehead were twitching wildly, and his mood became more and more irritable. "You damn brat, why are you always like this?" Balihu suddenly understood why he was becoming increasingly unhappy with the guy in front of him. It was not because of the opponent's strength, but because the opponent was indifferent no matter what blood limit or powerful power he showed. It seemed that no matter how powerful he became, it was just a farce in the eyes of the other party. This kind of confidence that Balihu couldn't understand made him feel even more angry. "As a reward for you mastering wood escape, I learned a new thing for you to experience." Hyuga Nariku's voice seemed to have a hint of joking, and at the same time, his hands snapped together. Instantly, the surrounding natural energy poured in crazily towards Hinatan Nariku's puppet. "This is..." Heiju's expression changed drastically as he watched not far away. "This familiar energy fluctuation. This is magic." "Hey," Ju concluded. "This subordinate of Orochimaru has mastered Senjutsu. Black Zetsu, who has been lurking in the ninja world for thousands of years, is no stranger to Senjutsu. Not to mention, Senju Hashirama mastered Senjutsu decades ago. At that time, Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara's he watched the battle in the Valley of the End until the very end. Immortal magic." Uchiha Obito frowned. In his understanding, Black Zetsu is the incarnation of Uchiha Madara's will, so it is not surprising that he can recognize Senjutsu. The problem is, the guy not far away, Orochimaru's his subordinates actually mastered immortal arts. How is this possible? Before everyone in the Akatsuki organization could be surprised, Hyuga Nariku's accumulation of natural energy had been completed. Bang! He clasped his hands together suddenly, and Hyuga Nariku shouted in a low voice. "Immortal magic, inorganic reincarnation." Buzz! In an instant, the ground of Mount Sumeru seemed to come alive. Countless giant thorns emerged from the ground, instantly changing the entire battlefield environment. The situation was reversed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 193. The ground in Mount Sumeru is shaking violently. The huge and sharp thorns easily covered the forest created by Balihu. The trees that originally grew unbridled became crooked due to the tilt of the ground. What's this? Earth escape ninjutsu. Balihu frowned, full of confusion. He had a bad feeling in his heart. However, Balihu clenched his fist. The power of Mudun gave him strong self-confidence. He already possessed the god of ninja. The power. In front of Mudun, all the fancy ninjutsu are useless. The scale seems quite deceptive, but it's not just superficial. Balihu sneered, clasped his hands together, and controlled the trees to continue attacking in the direction of Hinatan Nariku. Hinatan Nariku chuckled and said, "How strong it is, you will know by comparing it." This is the first time he has used immortal magic in actual combat. He is also very curious about the power of immortal magic and inorganic reincarnation. Saying that, Hyuga Nariku controlled the giant thorn formed by the rocks and blasted towards the woods opposite. Hey! Countless sharp thorns, extremely fast, easily cut open the trees in Balihu Mudun. It's not over yet. Ground thorns from all directions, like raindrops, launched intensive attacks towards Balihu. What? Balihu retreated in a hurry, only to find that a large number of ground thorns were coming from behind. Everything around him, the land, and stones, seemed to come alive, and they all attacked him one after another. And he himself hurriedly moved back. The trees used for defense were as fragile as tofu and were easily cut open. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Bilihua shouted anxiously. How could such a thing exist? This is Mujutsu, the strongest blood successor barrier recognized by the ninja world. Why does it appear so fragile? Black, who is watching the battle from a distance, is not aware of this. Not surprising. The strength of wood release also varies depending on the person. For example, the first Hokage from the Valley of the End, or the current fifth Hokage. Their wood release strength is completely capable of resisting the tailed beast Gamma. And Biluhu's compared with the previous two, this small forest is far behind. What's more, Beiruhu's opponent, Orochimaru's subordinate, also mastered the magic of Ryokai Cave. The black man who survived in the ninja world the year before last, Ju, of course, has seen this trick of Ryukadong's signature magic, Immortal Technique Inorganic Reincarnation. An immortal technique that can give life to inanimate inorganic objects and control them. This magical technique can completely incorporate the surrounding environment control, used to attack the opponent, launch continuous and fast and fierce attacks on the opponent. Did Orochimaru go to Ryuji Cave to learn Senjutsu? Heiju glanced at Orochimaru secretly and thought to himself. After seeing the immortal technique, inorganic reincarnation, Heiju was convinced that the guy fighting Biluhu was indeed Orochimaru's subordinate. As we all know, Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, is a contractor of Ryuji Cave. So, it is not surprising that Orochimaru's subordinates can master the magic of Ryuji Cave. Is this kid really Orochimaru's subordinate? The red sand scorpion looked at Orochimaru with a suspicious expression and said. Orochimaru himself may not have such strength, right? Who is whose subordinate among you two? Heiju explained aloud. This guy is performing the magic of Longdi Cave. Wow! Everyone heard the subtext of Zetsu. He mastered the magic of Ryokai Cave, so even if this guy is not Orochimaru's subordinate, he must have some kind of connection with Orochimaru. Orochimaru smiled and said nothing, thinking in his heart, but he was also full of doubts. The celestial arts of Ryokai Cave. He once tried to master the celestial arts of Ryokai Cave, but failed. But why was Hyuga Naruko able to master the celestial arts of Ryokai Cave? How did he get to Ryokai Cave? In Orochimaru's memory, he has not heard of any other contemporary contractors in Ryuji Cave. Naruko-kun, how many more surprises can you bring me? Orochimaru's brown eyes flickered slightly, with a hint of expectation. In the distance, Beiruhu was completely at a disadvantage in the battle. He could only barely dodge left and right amid countless ground thorn attacks. However, even with the speed of his quick escape, as well as the use of wood escape and steel escape for defense, Beiruhu has now become covered in bruises. Landun's attack hits the ground thorns, and the damage is very limited. What's more, these damn ground thorns are almost infinite, endless, attacking him like it will never stop. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Beiruhu roared in his heart, but to no avail. With his current speed and defense, the battle is so difficult. Beiruhu has reason to believe that if it were another member of the Akatsuki organization, it would be difficult for anyone to perform better than him. Even better. He has now understood. It's not that he is weak, but that the kid opposite is too strong. Where did Orochimaru find such a strong subordinate? With him, he completed the Oni Myloto ritual. Possessing 6 kinds of blood inherited strength, it's totally not enough. By the way, Mingdu. Beiruhu's eyes suddenly lighted up. He also has the blood succession limit of Mingdun. Because he had been fighting with physical skills before, Beiruhu had always ignored that he still had such a blood succession limit that could absorb chakra no matter what ninjutsu you use. If you use Mingdun to absorb the chakra, it will become a tree without roots. Dark escape, suck holes. Beiruhu pressed his arm on the ground thorn on his side, and used Mingdun to start absorbing chakra. Black Zetsu, who was watching the battle, saw this and cursed secretly, idiot. Having absorbed the chakra from the celestial art, don't you think you died quickly enough? Soon, Beirehu also realized that something was wrong. There's something wrong with this chakra. Beirehu's pupils were trembling, and the chakra absorbed by him was raging along his arms, seemingly with a crazy destructiveness. At the same time, his arms began to petrify. There's something wrong with this chakra. Beirehu made a prompt decision and cut off his petrified left arm. In this short moment, the surrounding ground thorns directly poked Beirehu's body and knocked him away. Even if Beirehu hurriedly used steel, Dun's body hardened, but a bloody hole was still poked out. The ground thorns next to him also attacked Beirehu. In 1 or 2 breaths, Beirehu became covered in blood. Is it only to this extent? Hyuga Nariku's tone was a little disappointed, and he waved his hand to control the ground thorn attacking Beirehu to stop. Beirehu, who was finally able to stop, breathed a sigh of relief and fell straight to the ground. Listening to Hyuga Nariku's words full of disappointment, Beirehu has lost his retort and anger. There is a feeling of despair in his heart. Well. Beirehu, who fell to the ground, suddenly let out a painful groan, and his body convulsed like an electric shock. Pain. Hot pain. Beirehu only felt as if his body was about to split. The mixed chakra was impacting in the body in an orderly manner, destroying his body crazily. Is this a side effect of Onimuro's art? The Oniyaluo ritual he designed seemed not as perfect as he thought. Kumogakure forced me, and the Third Hokage persuaded me to die. Author, Uchiha Hokage. Chapter 194. What happened again? Isn't this guy Beirehu going to awaken some new blood inheritance limit? The honest Manki-same can no longer understand the current situation. Although Beirehu is being beaten very badly now. But Beirehu was also at a disadvantage before, but then he inexplicably awakened Mudun. Now although Beirehu is in pain, he was rolling all over the ground, but he couldn't tell whether he would get up again in the next moment. Heiju. Probably not. The reason why Beirehu was able to awaken the wood release was because the white Zetsu cells as a sacrifice originally contained the cells of the first Hokage. It should be impossible to awaken other blood inheritance limits. Pain observed carefully for a while with his samsara eye and shook his head. Beirehu's body was out of control. In fact, just before Beirehu awakened to wood release, Pain had been paying attention to the chakra situation in Beirehu's body. Before, although the yin release and yang release chakras in Beirehu's body were also very confusing, they were different from each other. They were in a state of mutual stimulation. But now, Beirehu's body has completely turned into chaos, with chaotic chakra conflicting with each other, destroying the already messy body. If he doesn't rescue him, Beirehu probably won't live long. Ah! The red sand scorpion sneered and said. I knew that this kind of physical transformation had no future and would only mess up my body. The same goes for Beirehu, and so does Orochimaru. They are all messing around with their bodies regardless of the consequences, adding all kinds of mess to themselves, and they don't know whether they can bear it. And he puppetized himself, just puppetizing himself. The core of the body, the power system, is extracted separately. If you want to replace the body, you only need another human puppet, and then transfer the power core to it. Orochimaru did not comment on the words of the red sand scorpion, his eyes bright and dark, uncertain. I don't know what I was thinking. Soon, Akatsuki organized everyone to come to Beirehu and Hinata Nariku. I can't guarantee that I can cure him. The red sand scorpion said with some reluctance. Pain had just given him the task of treating Beirehu. In return, he could give him the body of Hanzo the Sanshouyu. That was called a demigod. The ninja. Even among the puppet collections of the red sand scorpion, it can be ranked at the forefront. After the red sand scorpion briefly checked Beirehu, he said. I don't guarantee that I can save your life. If treatment fails, I will add you to my puppet collection. Pen didn't say anything, obviously acquiescing to what Xie said. The organization spent a lot of money on Baileahu's Ghost Yeluo ceremony. They even sent people to capture the Blood Step Ninja for Baileahu. If you can't live to serve the organization, you can only serve the organization as a puppet. Baileahu. What kind of organization did I join? Even if you die, you won't be able to live in peace. After explaining the matter of Baileahu, Pain suddenly turned his attention to Hinata Nariku. Do you want to officially join the Akatsuki organization? After watching the battle just now, Pain has already judged the strength of Orochimaru's subordinate. It is not weaker than anyone in the Akatsuki organization except him. Such a talent is just a subordinate of Orochimaru, which is a bit what a pity. However, when they heard what Pain said, Orochimaru and Hinata Nariku felt a sense of absurdity. Isn't this too ridiculous? Does Pain know who he is inviting? Hinata Nariku even felt a little moved in his heart. On the surface, his identity is the fifth Hokage of Konoha, and then he opens a small account to join the Akatsuki organization. He successfully penetrates into the enemy. Even with his own strength as a puppet, if Nagato dies, he might still be able to join the Akatsuki organization. Boss. It's interesting to think about it. If the Fourth Ninja War starts in the future, he will be the boss of the Ninja Alliance, and he will also be the boss of the Akatsuki organization. The left and right hands fight each other. After a moment of heartbeat, Hinata Nariku still shook his head and refused. On the one hand, it's because there are many other things to do. On the other hand, it's because, as an alter ego, I am Orochimaru's subordinate. Orochimaru might feel bored at some point and defect to Akatsuki directly. Organized. By then, his account will be abolished. When Pain saw Hyuga Nariku's refusal, he didn't say much. In Pain's view, after all, Hinata Nariku is Orochimaru's subordinate. The subordinates of the organization members can also be the subordinates of Orochimaru. Organizational effectiveness. Orochimaru had a playful expression on his face. Pain, do you know what you were doing just now? Do you want to invite the fifth Hokage of Konoha to join the largest rebel ninja organization in the ninja world? I really don't know if in the future, what will Pain's expression be like after knowing the true identity of his subordinate. This guy Baileahu boasted so much about the art of Oni Yeluo, but he didn't expect that it would just result in this. Uchiha. Obito said with a curl of his lips. After witnessing the Oni Yeluo ceremony, everyone in the Akatsuki organization disbanded on the spot. The strength shown by Baileahu was indeed very strong, but that was all. For the Eye of the Moon, the execution of the plan failed to play a key role. Obito originally expected that he might try to use an Amara's technique to fuse Uchiha Madara's reincarnation eyes in the future. As a result, when he saw the last scene of Baileahu after the tragic situation, Obito had no choice but to give up the idea for the time being. If the Rinnegan Eye was destroyed after the ceremony, it would really be more of a loss than a gain. This idea from Baileahu is quite good. With a few improvements, the strength of the Akatsuki members should be greatly improved. Unlike Obito, Black Zetsu only cares about the strength of the Akatsuki organization. After all, the stronger the Akatsuki is, the higher the success rate of capturing the tailed beast. At this time, White Zetsu suddenly said warily. Someone is following us. Hearing this, Uchiha Obito immediately turned around, the Sharingan in his eyes instantly opened, and 2 teams of 3 Megatama appeared. Who? Behind a tree, the puppet controlled by Hinata Nariku slowly appeared. It's you. Uchiha Obito looked a little suspicious. Why is Orochimaru's subordinate following him? What you up to? Did Orochimaru send you to follow me? Uchiha Obito was secretly on guard, and directly activated the power of his right eye to blur himself. PS has always been curious about a question, only the hard part of the red sand scorpion's body is left, where is his brain, and what does he use? Part thinking.